Welcome back to the Mastering Runeterra podcast with Jay and Bay, the #1 source for competitive Legends of Runeterra news and information. If you're looking for the best decks to play right now, be sure to check us out on Twitter at Master Runeterra or in our Discord. And if you want to take the next step in leveling up your game, check out our Runeterra team on Patreon, where we do weekly learning calls and one-on-one coaching. Now strap in and grab yourself some Boro snacks, because we are about to start Mastering Runeterra.
Welcome back to the Mastering Runeterra podcast with Jay and Bay. We have a great show for you today. We're going to go over seasonals last weekend, how we did, how our team did, our thoughts going into the tournament, coming out of it, and leading up to the top 32, which is actually starting any minute now by the time you guys are seeing this, depending on which region you are. Southeast Asia starts like Friday night. Basically.
Yeah, it's probably going to start like as soon as this goes live.
Yeah, so the whole thing's going to be starting. It's very exciting. We're going to talk about our thoughts on that. Real quick shout out to our sister podcast, Runeterra Radio. If you want more great Runeterra content, go hit them up. They just had Swim on their podcast this week. I said it was last week, my bad. He was on this week. It was a great episode. They talked all about seasonals and the lead up to it, so make sure you go check them out. And with that said, what do you say, Bay?
I'm excited. We did not make it to top 32, spoiler alert. Yeah, so both of us tried very hard. And we may have punted
got very far.
Our ranking near the end of the season. And we talked to each other and we said, man, it's going to really suck when we both go X and 2 and don't make it because we didn't sit on our LP a week before. And what do you know? we both went X and 2 and did not make it.
Yeah.
So we'll be changing that this time around. I'm gonna hit probably top 30, and I'm gonna sit on it. I have a Smurf account in the works right now.
Yeah. It makes it a lot more, like, going into it, you know, I had never done particularly well at a tournament as of yet. Not that I had played in a lot of them. So I was still very much in that, like, I don't know, Masters is really hard. Who knows? Maybe I'll bomb out. Maybe I'll do well. I don't know. But I, like, coasted to 7 and 2. I, like, you know, I had one loss that I, like, straight just punted a game. Well, I don't know what straight punted, but I basically just played something when I didn't need to, and I could have just passed and waited for my opponent to do something. It was in a pretty good spot. And then the other one, I just timed out with the win in hand and did not manage my clock, which is real salty when you have like a watcher in your hand and you just want to play it and kill your opponent, and then time runs out.
Especially when we talked about it on the
podcast. What we talked about, yeah. So
episode before.
Okay, so let's jump into it then, because I want to discuss this a little bit. Right. And actually, it's a good topic. We brought it up yesterday on the Runeterra show. Yeah, and I hadn't really thought as much about it as I did until that point. So first off, yeah, went 7-2, tanked my rating kind of at the end. It wasn't so much that I tanked it even. I was climbing fine, mostly off stream. During the day, I'd climb up to like 500 LP. I'd start streaming. I'd drop back down to like, I don't know, 400, 350, and then I climbed back up. And I just didn't take it seriously. And that kind of hurts now, because I'm like, you know, had I taken this seriously, I would be in top 32 right now. Because I was there. I had the LP. I was still climbing just fine. So that's like a bitter pill to swallow. And like you say, something that will definitely be corrected this season. I'm going to be, and also there's worlds now to qualify for, so the ladder counts even more. I'm going to be an absolute savage on the ladder this season. Like if I'm not sleeping.
It's so nice to just sit back and just like.
Really? I'm actually I'm looking forward to it. I'm like, are you a little bit bored at all? Yeah. I mean, you still have seasonals. You still have seasonals to qualify for.
I still have seasonals, and like, you know, I still have seasonals. I'm playing in the next fight night again. Like, I got other stuff, right?
Yeah.
And it's a little bit of like stress off my back. I don't have to worry about qualifying for Worlds, right? I'm already in Worlds, so it's cool to be able to like sit back and just watch everyone else and like root for them without like the stress of worrying about it myself, essentially.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, no, that
pretty
makes a
nice.
lot
I don't
of
get to do
sense.
that. I have not gotten to do that in Runeterra yet. This is the first time. Like, this is the first time there's been a big tournament or like a big qualification thing, and I haven't been in it. Top 32, that is. And then Worlds. Like, so I get to like root for, we got a bunch of homies in top 32.
Yeah, we do. Shout out.
To everybody that made it. Yeah, shout out to, let's see, we got Squeeby. We got What Am I? We got Jay Sensational, who's going by Jay Sended now, but I'm still going to call him Jay Sensational.
He's Jay Sensational.
Who else? There's a bunch of people in top 32 that we know.
Yeah, a lot. Jay Sensational, What Am I?
Congratulations.
On our testing team.
On our testing team.
So
very excited to watch that.
Yeah, super, super excited. I'm excited to play in the next one. So that was a tough pill to swallow. And then, I made a misplay. It happens. And then the clock situation. We had spoken about this, and I was very cognizant of it. I was coming to game 3. I was playing TLC against Sand Scouts, which is supposed to be like the nightmare matchup, right? So I was, taking my time, looking through plays, but I didn't think I was. I was playing slowly, but my opponent was playing slowly as well. So the game starts up though, and I check the clock. And I look at it specifically, and it's like 11 minutes left, and then you get another 5 minutes after that. I'm like 16 minutes to finish like a Sand Scouts match. I'm like, oh, we have way more time than anyone could ever possibly use. We're good here. And I just never looked back at it until it was too late. Towards the end of the game, he was just taking like a long time, and I thought he was just deep in the tank. I thought my opponent was just like really thinking out their plays, and maybe they were. But it gave me a lot of time to start thinking, and all of a sudden, my mind kind of wandered, and I looked over at the clock and was like, "Oh my god! Like, whoa! What's happening here? Is that like we're gonna time out? And I can't my opponent just has the more time than what is left on the match time." And then I lost with I literally played Alessandro to get a watcher. It was gonna watcher my opponent the next turn and win, and ran out of time. So that sucked. And obviously we'll not let that happen again. And it's rough. It's a real. And I was like X and 1 I was 6-1 at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it was tough pill to swallow. I hadn't really thought, and then I heard about the Squeeby situation.
Let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah, let's talk about that. I'd heard rumblings of that. I didn't quite understand what had happened until you guys told me yesterday. So you might not know better. You probably know better than I do if you want to fill everyone in on what happened there.
Okay, so Squeeby and his opponent were playing a normal game. But if you do not starting out normal game, if you do not know, the player clock, your individual player clock resets.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Which is weird because I'm playing. I was confused by it.
I also did not know that, but I don't have to really worry about the clock. If I'm ever timing out of a match, my opponent is losing on time. That's just what's gonna happen.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so the player clock resets. The match clock does not. So Squeeby's opponent hard roped purposefully to time down the match clock as much as possible. And Squeeby can play as fast as he wants, but if your opponent's roping every single turn, it's going to time the clock down. And then in game 3, Squeeby's opponent was playing very fast, and Squeeby just couldn't keep up. I didn't see it live, but I believe that once you play the card, if I play Nasus, right, priority goes to you. Even if my Nasus is leveling up, if I attack, right, and my Nasus hits, and he does his whole level up, animation, your clock is ticking down, even though it's my Nasus, because it's technically your move. So I believe that's what happened. There was just no time left on the match clock, and his opponent just played as fast as physically possible, made a bunch of animations happen, and Squeeby, playing as fast as he could, still lost on time. So his opponent clearly orchestrated the event to have Squeeby lose on the match timer, which isn't illegal per se, perhaps unethical. But
two very different things.
It's not illegal, which needs to change. That's not okay. You cannot be angle shooting from the get-go to have your opponent lose on the match timer and have it work out in a normal game of Runeterra. Especially if your opponent's playing fast. Like that just can't stay. That's not okay. So yeah, Squeeby luckily still made top 32. So that's good.
Yeah.
Because that would have been very salt inducing. It would have been really bad.
Yeah, that's like next level.
Yeah, I don't know why Runeterra doesn't just have chess timers.
Yeah. It's so much
Magic
simpler.
Online, right?
Yeah.
What are the match times? It's 50 minutes total or like 40 minutes right now?
I think it's
50.
I want to say 50, but maybe you get an extra 5.
Let's say 50. Give each player 25 minutes for the entire match.
Yeah.
When it's your move, your clock ticks down. You already have that part, right? You already have player clocks. Just get rid of the altogether match timer. If your time runs out, you lose the match. That's it. No questions asked. You cannot run down your opponent's clock. That is like how it should work, or how it's worked for everything else. I don't know why Runeterra is so convoluted. Maybe they know something I don't. But yeah, that's weird to me.
Yeah, not sure what happened there. I do have faith in them though to fix it, because like they're just like anything else we've had issues with in the game. They just fix it. It's really not that hard of a fix, and I think too big of a deal. It's growing pains, right? They tried something, it didn't work. Fix it. It reminds me of I don't know why. I read like some article one time about like people that I think there was a person in like hockey. And they had to like, there was a bunch of rules named after him or something because I think it was a coach, and like he was
like breaking the rules.
Just angle shooted like everything. Like one of them was like when they pulled the goalie to put a 6th man on the ice, he told his goalie to just leave his stick. Just leave the stick, like
just leave the stick.
Just leave the stick.
Leave your stick.
Yeah, because there was no rule against leaving your. So you just oopsie, I dropped my stick in front of the goal, right at the bottom.
So funny. Oh my God.
So they had to make a rule, and then there were just so many things, and they just had to make another rule and had to make another rule.
Oh my God, I'm all about that. I'm all about like
gamers gonna game
like the rules to the extreme, right? I'm all about that, but. This is pretty not okay.
No, this needs a change. Just like the hockey stick thing, it's an easy like you can't leave your stuff on the ice.
Happens once and everyone goes, "Come on," and then they have to change.
Come
it, right?
on, enough.
It's just not okay to have that be a thing. And is it kind of scummy? Yeah, but like I pointed this out on the Runeterra show, you can't go after the other player for this. You can't like be mad at the other player. I mean, I guess you can, but like you can't like really hold it against them. They're in a tournament and they're playing by the rules, and the goal of the tournament is to win the tournament, and they're doing that to the best of their abilities. Are they doing it in a way that I would do it? No, but they're within the rules. So really, just what needs to change is the rules. You can't blame the player for that.
Yeah, 100%. And like we said, it's an easy fix. And it would also there's another like. The other big problem is that like you kind of get hard stuck. So like, if the match clock is ever less than the difference between your opponent's clock and your clock, they could just sit there and like just do nothing, basically just drain the clock down.
Just hard rope you.
Yeah. It is what it is. The changes need to be made. And so I guess what I was getting at was with the chess clock. So like in Magic Online, for instance, I often play very slow, but once my clock is getting lower, I'm like, okay, I manage my time much more efficiently now. I'm like passing back to my opponent, and I won't time out. I won't like run out of time because I know how to manage my clock. But that just wasn't, and I was like, can I just like click really fast here? I'm like, oh no, my opponent can just hold priority and time down the match clock. That should not be a thing. Yeah.
Big, right. Yeah. Time management is an aspect of all like competitive games, but it shouldn't be to this extent. Like the goal of the game is not to game the match timer.
Yeah.
The goal of the game is to win a game of Runeterra within a match timer. Like cheesing your opponent out using the clock is not what it's about. So
this is gonna be a good one. Like in like I don't know 3 to 5 years, we're like remember that third seasonals with the squeeby clock. Oh yeah, the squeeby clock. Oh, the olden days.
The squeeby clock. I mean, I have timed my opponent outs on Magic Online purposely.
Oh yeah.
I've put
Happens.
like extra spells on the stack. I've made bad attacks just so they have to block. Just to like drain out a little bit extra time, right? Like it's within the rules. That's how you're supposed to play the game. Like it's your fault for wasting 25 minutes.
Exactly.
But you like the problem isn't that Squeeby took way too much time and so his opponent took advantage of that. The problem is his opponent from the outset, his plan was to time out Squeeby no matter what he did. And that's not okay. But enough of that.
Yeah, okay, next one. So long story short, and okay, so I wanted to touch also on kind of what this means and like worlds getting announced and stuff. When they announced worlds, I thought it was going to be like way too hard to qualify for, and I was kind of wasn't that excited for it. Having this like near miss from top 32, and also I guess I got the maximum amount of points that you can get without making top 32.
Without actually topping.
And which I was like, but like so many people will have more points. But then I thought about it and like, okay, so there's 32 people. 16 of them will lose the first round, so they'll maybe get 1 point if they win a game. The top 4 will just get qualified.
Already qualified. Yeah.
So then you just have
point earners are like the people who like won, right?
Yeah.
The people who won in top 4, they're the top seasonal point earners. So it like drops down.
So then you just have like 12 people basically that could have more points than me coming from seasonals, and there's 2 more seasonals. So I was like, oh, all right. Also, I feel much more confident in top 32ing seasonals.
Now you had this meager success. Yeah.
Yeah. So now I'm extremely motivated to qualify for Worlds because I feel like it's attainable. And I'm excited for that. I like literally cannot wait. I'm like white knuckling my chair. Like, when's Wednesday? Reset. Give me the cards. Reset the ladder. I want to go. I just want to go. So that's exciting. I'm looking forward to the next whatever it is, 4 months, 4 months until September, until Worlds. It's gonna be a good run.
It is. Worlds ended up like you mentioned. Worlds ended up being a lot more accessible than I thought. Like the way they do it, if you're unclear, the top 4 players of every single seasonal auto qualified. Then they take the top. You earn points based on your ladder position, and they only take into account your 2 best seasons. So, the top point earners, I don't remember how many, but the top point earners
22, I think.
Of 22, okay, of ladder get put in. And then you get a point for every game win you've had in a seasonals tournament. And so those top point earners that are not the top 4 of the seasonals get put in. So it really like just rewards consistently strong players. Which is what you want, right? Like, yeah, you would like someone could still like spike a seasonals and get in, right? But what you really want, this is Worlds, you want the best of the best. And so if you're like a consistently good, consistently high finishing player in any aspect, tournaments or ladder, you can make it in. And not just like it's not like you can do it someday too, right? Like, no, you can. It's like not I'm not going to say it's not hard because that's not correct. But it's much more attainable than I think a lot of other people expected.
Yeah, I think it's much more attainable than, say, even qualifying for one Magic Pro Tour, whatever they call it, Mythic Champion thing, like the current version. The current version where you have to go through Arena, which is insanely difficult.
You have to like first place like 100-man tournament, and then you have to like top 4 like a regional tournament to get into the. I don't know if that's
to get into the league. To qualify for the Pro Tour thing, though, you basically need to go 7-1 in seasonals like 2 days in a row. So it's like go 7-1 and then cut to like top whatever 100 and something, and then go 7-1 again.
That's
it's like you have to like win seasonals basically.
Yeah, I did that and it felt like I won the goddamn lottery.
Yeah.
I was like, I'll never be able to do this again. I was like, this is insane. It's like winning a Grand Prix. Like,
I want to.
You have to do so well. I mean, you're way cooler than me.
Way luckier.
Like, that's insane.
Anyway, that's just to qualify. It's nuts. And so this for Worlds, it has this amount of qualifications, whatever it is, 64 people, and it has
per region,
4 different shards. So, it's like 250-ish people. Not bad for Worlds. That's a good size. That's
That's like a perfect size. I wanted somewhere between like 128 and 256. That's what I wanted.
Yeah.
And we're at the higher end, but we are in that right there.
I think they nailed it.
I also think they nailed it. And then, if you're not aware, they cut it. They take the top 6 players from the NA 64, or not NA, sorry. The Americas. I'm just so used to saying NA as a server. The Americas shard.
Oh, I am too,
they take
actually.
The top 5. Yeah, they take the top 5 from EU, and they take the top 5 from combined Southeast Asia and Asia, and they slam them together into the top 16, and that is your actual, I think they call it the World's Finals.
For $200,000.
For $200,000, which is a decently sized chunk of change.
It's like $100,000 probably for first, like 50 to 100,000 for first place.
Got to be between 75 and 100. Looking at seasonals prize out. That's not yeah. So now, I mean, 50. Let's say $50 to $100,000. It's not nothing to like shake stick at, right? Like that's a real amount of money.
I'll take $100,000 for playing Runeterra. You're like number 1, basically.
Yeah, right. That'll be okay.
Okay,
yeah.
Be fine. Don't complain.
Mm-hmm.
You can imagine. Also, I was thinking of this. Can you imagine being the first ever Runeterra world champion? Record books. You're going down in the fucking record books for forever. Forever.
Mm-hmm.
Like they still play Magic highlights of the first worlds and the first few of them.
That's what I was thinking. I was
35 years later.
So in my head, I'm like playing out. I'm like, okay, I'm about to win my match for a world champion.
Yeah.
What's my pop off gonna look like? Because this is gonna get played everywhere, right? Like
I don't even think of that
exact moment of I win and I do what? And I didn't settle on anything. I haven't decided yet. So, I mean, I guess I have till September to figure out what I'm going to do when I win Worlds. Right?
Well, you know what? You really don't have to worry about it because I'm going to win. So you can just help me figure out what I'll do.
There you go. The hard part is deciding between, do you want to go with like, the adrenaline filled headset thrown down,
oh, that's
pop
me.
off, fist pump,
I'll go,
right?
Let's go.
Wow, you're high-fiving.
Yeah, no, I'm doing that. That's me for sure. Why? What else you got?
Or the more humble.
No, fuck that.
Take the headset off.
The PV.
Maybe smile at the crowd. Give a little one of like the, if you can't see.
Did it for you, fam.
Imagine I just sunk a nice putt. Right? You know what I'm talking about. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Just a little like a little tiny fist bump where you're like, nice.
Got it.
That one. Go shake my opponent's hand. Congratulations.
Yeah, well done.
You played fantastic.
Fuck
and then,
that. No, I'm doing the like jump up, screaming, like throwing stuff around. Yeah, spraying bottles places.
You got your buddies dumping a Gatorade.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, we're going full board.
Champagne just spraying.
That's what I'm talking about. I've been watching a lot of Formula One, that like Netflix documentary.
Yeah.
Gotta get all this shit. The massive bottle that's like way too big.
Yeah.
Like, so that bottle is exactly the same price as your prize money. Can you just ring it back out? How do we do this? Just get it back in there.
And I also need the check to be gigantic.
Yes.
If I don't get to hold a big ass check,
there's no yeah, you got to do that, right? If you're listening, get that big ass check.
Notes.
Is there any chance that Worlds is a LAN event?
Okay, like the Worlds qualifier? No. Worlds finals? That's only 16 people. That's super doable.
That's very doable.
But it is 16 people from all over the world, which makes it a lot more difficult.
A little bit. Oh yeah, with the traveling right now. Yeah, that's probably not gonna happen.
It's like it's in the future, but like it's only a few months away. It's like 4 months away. So I'm gonna say no.
Yeah, I'm gonna say no too.
Next year, yes.
Damn well better.
Yes. Will they make Worlds qualifiers in person? Probably not. Flying out 256 people is a lot of people.
I mean, Magic did that for every single Pro Tour for like 3 to 6 Pro Tours a year. Riot could do it one time a year.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. You're totally right. They can. To be fair, Magic's budget a lot higher than Runeterra's budget.
Fair enough.
They have a lot larger player base.
I mean, Riot, I hear, has been doing okay.
they've been doing all right. But yeah, you know, like League of Legends budget is not the Runeterra budget. But we're supposed to get champ skins this next month. And I swear to God, if they have alternate art level up animations, I will spend my entire seasonals check on it. I will buy every single goddamn one. They'll make $1 million.
Take my money, Riot. Take my money.
And if they don't do that, right? If it's just like skins, like alternate skins, maybe I'll pick up a couple. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna immediately shoot them like a Twitter message, right? And I'll be like, Riot, please give me a $15 to $20, I don't care how much, alternate art, alternate level up animation.
Make it sweet.
Right? Make it
so sweet.
Make it sick. I don't know how much their animation costs for like to do a level up animation now. I mean, did you see Zillions? Like, that's insane, by the way. I don't know how much that costs, but
you'll make it back.
You'll make it back. Like, I have to imagine
100x for forever.
I cannot imagine you would not make it back.
Make some of them like, limited time only.
Oh,
I must have.
Yeah, I like cosmetics a lot. I love Riot's like
the Valorant cosmetics are like, they like knock me on my butt. I don't even play the game. Cool. I don't really play the game. I just look funsies once every couple months with the boys, and like I pick up a new someone else's skin, a gun, and I'm like, what is this? And it blows my mind. It's the greatest thing ever. Love it.
And it shoots out Nerf bullets, and you're like,
bullets. Who thinks of it? So yeah, give me that. It'll level up.
Yeah. Oh god, I want that so bad. I don't really expect it to happen on the first release.
The first go around.
I expect the first go around to be normal. I expect them to cost about $5 and just to be like alternate art.
What's going to happen with foils? Cool, are prismatics going to be able to buy? Is that going to be able to buy skins?
I don't know.
Because currently it's like not good. Currently it's pretty bad.
I was incredibly disappointed with prismatics. Yeah. I had a rioter in my stream the day they came out, and they were like, "Hey, I noticed you don't have any prismatics and you have a bunch of essence. What's up with that?" And I was like, "Well, you see, I hate them."
They're fucking terrible.
Like, I would have bought a lot, but they're bad.
I bought $100 worth of coins just to foil out all of my shit, and then was like, nah. I was like, this is actually not good. And
I actively do not like them.
Yes, and so
that's not true. Yeah.
They just need to be better. They just need to be better. They'll update them. They'll update them. I have faith.
Yeah, okay. We're gonna get more. They have an entire like quest system for getting the currency. I imagine we're gonna get more kind of prismatics. But like the thick border and it makes it gold and it goes shing, like that's not enough for me anymore. That's not enough.
No. You can barely even tell it's foil.
No, I usually can't. The only time I notice is when my opponent like completely foiled out their deck, and I go,
"Oh, that looks different."
Like, especially if it's like a bad deck, right? You know what I mean?
We're the worst.
They completely foiled out like their booty ass, like Darius deck.
Much like they just upgraded all of the like effects, like spell shield and all that stuff, which now look a lot cooler. And like shuffle stuff into your top of your deck and whatever. It's not hard for them to, make changes, and I think they will definitely just make them cool again. And then yes, now I will foil all this out.
I imagine prismatics will stay the same. I think we will get alternate kinds of prismatics with different styles.
Oh. Interesting.
What do you think about that?
I think that it's going to look ugly if you have like a normal card, this kind of prismatic, and then the new prismatic. You're just like, nah.
To be fair, that's how Magic is. And
nobody does that. If people have white bordered lands, that's cool now. But like for the longest time, if you had like different borders, it was like, ew. Even now, old borders and new borders, dislike.
The borders, but like there's the different art styles now, especially in like Arena, right? Like the Tri-lands have their own art style and they don't match with anything else.
That's true.
And it does look kind of ugly, but people love that. People eat that up.
It is cool though, because like the new stuff looks so freaking cool.
Yeah. So I expect us to get, now I have no idea, right? This is completely something I'm pulling out of thin air. But I expect to get a different style of prismatic at some point. And if we don't, I really hope they redo the OG Prismatic, because like
they have to.
Just having an entire way of like teching out your deck that I don't like kind of sucks. Because like I said, I love cosmetics and I love to spend money on this game because I really like the game, but I hate buying cards.
Yeah, like why?
Not gonna do that.
Why even go foil at all? That was like it's like a paper thing to make it like look kind of cool. Like, why do you need that in?
Have you seen like Gwent? You seen Gwent's foil cards?
No.
They're insane. They animate the card.
Okay, yeah, no, I have seen this.
Fantastic. It's so good. That's worth it. Like, I'll spend money on that, right?
It like does stuff, right? Like the picture moves. Oh god,
it's like kiosks, right?
So
in the
good,
background
amazing.
Something. Bro, I'm like high-fiving a Poro or something. Like,
I saw that. There's those fan-made Runeterra ones that are like that. Have you seen those? And everyone, I got really hyped at first. Yeah, that's what we need.
You're super sick.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Right, please.
Right.
Okay, they're doing stuff slowly. Okay, we should talk about something that's like not.
Let's talk about going into the top 32, because this is very relevant. So when we talk about going into a tournament like seasonals, there's 1,000 people. You need to have a deck that's very consistent. You can't really by targeting something, even if it's TLC or TF Fizz. You won't see it often enough for that to be really successful. For instance, I beat the two anti-TLC decks, their lineups that I ran into, and I was playing TLC. And so, like, you can imagine if you're still going to lose to TLC sometimes, and you have to play a bunch of non-TLC lineups that are going to be probably a bit of a nightmare for you. That's not really where you want to be. But going into the top 32, all of a sudden you have a very narrow metagame where, you know, something like 80% of people could be bringing TLC. How many do we know? I know we have kind of the numbers, but I don't know the percentage of how many people played TLC in the top 32 from the original seasonals
like
parts.
Or something.
So 21 out of 32.
Higher than that, I think. I don't remember the exact numbers, but like Thresh Nasus was the number one. Toronto Sandra was number two. And then I think it was Zoe Acel and then Zoe Lee.
Yeah, so let's see. So 16 would be 50%. Like 6 over that.
It's like
I don't know
a super high percentage.
Yeah, we'll go with like 65, 70%, something like that. Monkey math. But very high.
That's worse than back of napkin math.
Yeah. Which, by the way, the Mastering Runeterra podcast contract has been drawn up on. Make sure you sign your napkin. So that's a metagame, though, that you could target, because now some huge percentage will be playing certain decks. Though, it's still not massive, right? Like, say it's 65%. That's still only like 2/3.
I mean, that's a lot. It's
a lot. It's a lot. But a single elimination tournament, yeah. So you definitely want to skew your lineup, right? You definitely want to skew your lineup to be like, you don't want to be weak to TLC. You don't want to be weak to Thresh Nasus. Like that's not a winning recipe at all. Okay, so you know what? You've played in a top 32 or two.
Once or twice.
Why don't you give your thoughts on, I know we talked about this before, but like, you know, when you're going to top 32, how things change, maybe more specifically what you will be looking to do if you were playing tomorrow.
Okay, so I would be looking to, you have to expect there's going to be a lot of Thresh Nasus, there's going to be a lot of TLC. There's also going to be a few people who YOLO it and play aggro. That's just always what happens. Or in this case, probably instead of like aggro, they play anti-TLC. They play scouts and scouts overwhelm, right? Something like that. It's going to happen because a lot of people, once they get to this level, don't quite feel comfortable. So they pick the deck they feel like can win no matter what. Like a lot of people don't feel like super comfortable playing at this level. So you'll see a lot more people pick more polarizing strategies to try to not like cheese wins out of their opponent, but essentially like, oh, sick, I'm up against a really good matchup for me. Like I can win this.
I'm not going to get outskilled, right? Like, oh, hey, I'm playing X best player in the world. It's okay, I got him because this matchup's a dunk.
Yeah, if you're not feeling super confident, you don't want to play the Targon mirror against What Am I 3 times in a row, right?
Yeah.
Because you just don't want to do it. Super skill testing. He's very good at it, and you might not feel as comfortable. So a lot more, I think we'll see a lot of like stand scouts look to show up, ban Thresh Nasus, and play against TLC and X, whatever else they bring. you have to have a plan for Thresh Nasus TLC X lineups. If your plan is dodge them, you are going to lose.
Yeah.
So we did talk about this, right? And open tournaments, you want to bring whatever you're comfortable with. That's really good because people are going to bring nonsense. You're in top 32 now. Like, that's no longer the case. This is the time to metagame. Like you said, very small field, very tight meta. This is the time to look at the numbers and say, like, can I beat this? Can I? This is what's expected. Can I bring something that's specifically built to beat the field, right? If you know everyone's going to bring Thresh Nasus, you want to be on 3 decks with Hush. You want to be on, like, the Zoe Diana, Tom Kent Straka, and I don't know, maybe Scar rounds or something. So yes, you can metagame. There's still a lot of merit to just bringing, like, TLC Thresh Nasus and X. But if your plan is to bring TLC Thresh Nasus X, you have to beat the other TLC Thresh Nasus X decks. You can do this by bringing something like Lee Sin as your third deck, because it's got good matchups against pretty much everything that it's good. It's got good matchups against TLC and Thresh Nasus, and usually whatever decks those decks like to pair with, be it Zoe Asol, Draven Ezreal, things like that. And you should also look at teching your other decks, all your decks really, for a specific field. Let's say my plan is to ban TLC and play against Thresh Nasus and X. My decks need to be teched out to beat Thresh Nasus. There's going to be a smaller field, so you don't need to have, like, these not like catch-all answers, but you don't need to be like, okay, well, I'll never know what I'll run into, because that's not really the case. You know pretty much exactly what you're going to run into.
Yeah.
You can look at what people qualified with, and they'll probably bring most of the same decks. So yeah, you want to, like, tech to beat the expected metagame. Not too much. Don't go too far, because then you're going to run into the guy who YOLO'd Sand Scouts and you're going to lose. Or the one nutter who's bringing Yasuo. No spoilers who that's going to be. Jason Sensational. So yeah, you don't want to, like, tech too hard. Don't, like, level yourself. But you need to show, if you're going to bring Thresh Nasus, I'm using Thresh Nasus as an example because it's the most popular deck. And I think the most powerful. If you're going to bring Thresh Nasus, you need to win mirrors. Like, that's what you have to do. For example, I know I'm kind of dominating the time here. Sorry, Jason.
No.
For example, last seasonals when I won, my plan was ban TF Fizz, and I brought TF Fizz. But my plan was ban TF Fizz, and then bring the other best decks. Right? Bring, like, Aphelios, and Lee, and tech them out to beat the mirrors, to beat the non-aggro decks, because I knew the majority of people in top 32 were going to bring TF Fizz, and they're going to bring an Aphelios deck. And they're probably going to bring an Ionia deck. It's probably going to be like Fiora Shen or Zoe Lee or something like that, right? Or maybe Draven Ezreal or something. So what I did was I went, okay, TF Fizz, not a consideration. That's banned every time. I need to win mirrors. So I teched my decks out to win mirrors. I went with Tom Kench Aphelios instead of TF Aphelios. In Zoe Lee, I went bigger. I played things like 2 copies of Homecoming. I played copies of the Fangs. Like, I was just a bigger version, which allowed me to win these mirrors. And you can do things like this in a smaller metagame. You can't do this in the open. I mean, you can, but it's, like, usually not that
dangerous,
great of an idea. It's very dangerous, yeah. Because, yeah, like, a ton of people top 32 with Zoe Lee, right? But do you know how many of my opponents played Zoe Lee?
I had none.
0.
I had no
single
votes.
one. None of, there was, like, 14 copies of Zoe Asol in top 32. I played 0. Played against 0. You just never know what people are going to bring in the open. But in top 32, you do. So if you don't come with a plan to beat what's expected, you're going to fall behind.
Yeah, 100%. No, that was really good stuff, and I totally agree. One thing I wanted to ask you. So when we're talking about aggro, so, like, aggro did really poorly in the open. Basically, there was 1 copy of Discord aggro, 1 copy of Nightfall aggro. So there's probably one player that made it. Do you think anyone's picking up those decks to play in the top 32? I would think no, right?
No. Okay. So in order for aggro to be good, you have to have some people who bring TLC Thresh Nasus, but the majority of people would have to bring decks that beat TLC Thresh Nasus. Like, I would say half the field would have to be on anti-TLC decks in order for, like, Discard Nightfall to be good. Because that's what those decks are good against, right? They're the actual aggro decks. So they beat these, like, faux aggro decks, the ones that are designed just to beat like TLC. Because if you're running discard Nightfall and you're running it into my TLC Thresh Nasus, I'm gonna stomp you. All these decks are bad for you.
Yeah.
Which is why you just saw nobody top 32 with it. Like Thresh Nasus TLC was everywhere, just like we expected. So yeah, discard and Nightfall, just not the place to be. Now, if everyone in their mob decides that like they want to be on anti Thresh Nasus, anti TLC, you know, everyone starts bringing your Tom Rakas, your Sand Scouts, your Overwhelm, stuff like that, then yeah, discard aggro looks really good. But I do not expect the entirety of the field to drop the best decks in the format to play anti-best decks in the format that aren't even like that good against them.
No, it's
Like,
never,
yeah, they're
never
good,
happening.
right? It's not happening.
Yeah. If it was a
So,
slam dunk,
I would-
if it was slam dunks,
Yeah.
if you were winning like 90% or something, like okay, yeah, now you'd see
Yeah.
more people go that route, but you're not. You're like 70 on like a good day.
At the very most.
Yeah.
The very most.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do not see discard and Nightfall making an appearance. It would be a brave man to bring their Draven.
There will be
Jinxes.
someone. Someone will do
Yeah,
it.
Someone will probably do it.
Someone will get there, and I'd be the person that got caught by them. But no. And so okay, so this is what we're talking about exactly. So now we have a field that's very narrow because there's like, you know, we're like, okay, there's basically going to be no true aggro with like the spiders, discard aggro, Nightfall aggro. It's like gone basically. We 100% have the decks that did well, the Thresh Nasus, the TLCs, probably the Lee Sin Zoes, and then we're probably going to have the in between, the ones that are targeting those decks. So either like triple Targon or scouts, and then like that's kind of it. There's like not, and like, you know, there'll be some there'll be a little bit of spice in there somewhere, but
are like deep Scar Grounds and I had one more. Tom Raka.
Overwhelm.
That wasn't
Tom
what I was choosing,
Raka.
but well, Tom Raka gets stomped by TLC, but it does destroy Thresh Nasus. Scar Grounds beats both. Deep just curb stomps TLC, but loses pretty hard to Thresh Nasus. That's the problem. Is like there's very few decks that beat both, and the decks that beat both just like hard lose to every other deck in the format. Like Scar Grounds can't beat a wet napkin, but it beats Thresh Nasus and TLC, and that's like it.
Yeah. They can beat some other stuff. There's a few others.
Yeah, you're right.
But it's a dog
to
to some other stuff too. And in this field, actually, it's definitely not looking terrible.
No, I expect at least probably 2 people to bring it.
Yeah, and I expect them to do decently well. I expect that deck to do well for them.
Yeah, I mean, your options right now are like your options besides just play the same thing you qualified with, right? Are let's say you're bringing TLC Thresh Nasus. Your options are go bigger and beat the mirror, or tech yourself to beat these anti-TLC Thresh Nasus decks and probably lose the mirror. And so you kind of have to choose, like which way do you want to go? I like to beat mirrors. Okay, so my theory is like if I can make Sand Scouts instead of, let's say, 70-30, right? 70-30 in favor of Sand Scouts. If I can super tech my TLC deck out and make it 60-40, or I can turn the mirror into a 65-35 with a couple extra cards, I'm going to go that way. Like, I'm gaining more points, and I'm likely to see the mirror more.
Yeah.
So I try. What I'm saying is I try not to expend too many slots and too much energy to make my bad matchups less bad. I want to make the even matchups favorable. That's what I want to do. Especially if the even matchups are the ones I expect to see the most.
Yeah. What would you bring? What would your lineup be? I was just thinking about this. If you were going in, I was trying to think about what mine would be, and it would probably be something similar. Like I'd probably run like the same Thresh Nasus that I ran that had that was good in the mirror. And then like TLC, then Lee Sin Zoe, and like tech them for the mirror. But there was also, I forget who it was, someone played a really interesting lineup that was kind of like anti-Thresh Nasus.
I think that's the way to go if you're
yeah, and I forget exactly what it was. I want to say it was like TLC, like Lee Sin, something that wasn't Zoe, like Lee Sin Karma or something. I think it was Lee Sin Karma.
There was one Lee Karma. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think is less good. You lose a lot of points against TLC.
Yeah, so I think they're
Because
banning
you, like,
TLC and going
can't
after
kill them
Thresh,
very fast.
going after
Yeah.
Thresh Nasus. And then I forget what the third deck was. But it looked
definitely
pretty
better
good.
against Thresh Nasus.
It looked pretty good. And Thresh Nasus is very like people will bring it even alongside things that are not TLC. Seems to be like the more popular.
The best deck, I think.
Yeah, and then also that lineup looked like it was decent against like the Scouts decks also.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I mean, the start doesn't inspire a lot of confidence. TLC, Zoe, like Lee Karma or whatever.
Fair enough. Yeah.
But yeah, like if I could show up to beat one deck, it'd be Thresh Nasus. You just show up to beat Thresh Nasus. You can ban TLC if you want or something else. But Thresh Nasus, I still expect to be the number one deck in top 32.
Yeah. The number one play deck.
It's not exactly a hot take or anything either. Like I think pretty much everyone would agree with me. It's going to be the most popular deck there.
Yeah. So what would you bring then? What would your lineup be if you're going into top 32?
I'm bringing Thresh Nasus and Zoe Lee. I would probably also bring TLC. And like I said, I just try to win mirrors. I would probably tech my Zoe Lee deck out to beat. I would cut a lot of the Sparklefly Mentor package.
Okay. Yeah, I see that.
And I would possibly move back towards where I was at before in the previous seasons with things like Homecoming and maybe even the Fangs. I'd max out my Hushes. So in Thresh Nasus, Sparklefly is bad. It's very bad. Yeah, every now and then you mentor one and like you win the game, but it's generally not very good. They have like Black Spear, they have Caretaker, they have Sand Spinner. They
can race you.
They just like hit you over the head with a big ass Nasus. The real card that matters is like Eye of the Dragon. Eye of the Dragon is incredibly strong against Thresh Nasus. And so I could possibly see myself going in a direction where I'm running the gifts package with Eye. And you do lose points against like some of the other decks, and especially against TLC, because if you're going like your only 2-drop is Eye and you're running like the triple gifts, you lose a lot of your aggression. Like you cannot force your control opponent to do anything, which is obviously very bad. But and that's why I think we saw the Karma Lee deck do well, because it can do that against Thresh Nasus. It's on the 3 Eye, the 3 gifts, and so it just like always has Eye. It always has at least one copy of Eye. You ban TLC, right? And it's like not that bad against everything else, but it's definitely better against Thresh Nasus. Maybe you bring something like that, tech it out super hard to beat Thresh Nasus, ban TLC, and you're still like pretty good against everything else. Yes, you lose like the GOAT, the Mentor, and the Sparklefly package, but those things aren't very good against Thresh Nasus anyway. And like I mentioned before, if you're showing up at this tournament and you don't have a plan to beat Thresh Nasus or ban it, like you're going to lose this tournament. So I want to show up and destroy Thresh Nasus. That's my plan, right?
Yeah.
I want to match up against Joe Schmo, see Thresh Nasus in his lineup, and just
done.
Yes, right.
Got him.
Yes,
got him.
Yeah, got him right out the gate, right? So I think I'm bringing TLC. Thresh Nasus heavily teched for the mirror, heavily. And then I might bring that Karma Lee deck. Now, granted, if you're in top 32 right now and you're listening to this on Saturday, or on right now, right? Let's say it's posted right now. You do not have time to learn a variation of a Lee deck. You do not have time. If you've played Lee, and me saying this would convince you to play Karma Lee, no GOAT, no Sparkfly, no Mentor, you cannot do that. It will not go well.
Yeah.
You have to get used to playing all these variations, a lot. They're very difficult. It's a completely different way that the game plays, that the deck plays. So you would have had to start practicing immediately, I think, for something like that, and that can be really hard to do.
Yeah,
I think that's where I would go. I got a little sidetracked.
No, that's okay. But you bring up another good point that actually we haven't talked about, because we spoke about it in our weekly call that we have in our Patreon team. If you'd like to join, we are also having a tournament for $1,000 May 15th and 16th for all our patrons. Savage plug. Well, we talked about it there, but we haven't talked about it on the podcast, as we forget to do that sometimes. Is preparation going into the tournament. So one of the things that we talked about before is that like a couple decks sort of slipped by us a little bit, or we just didn't put a lot of time and energy into them, and then it kind of came to crunch time a few days before seasonals. We were kind of like, maybe we made a mistake. We don't know because we just didn't. And so there was like the Ash Noxus. Is that right? Ash Noxus? Ash LeBlanc.
Yeah.
With Marauders Marauders or not Marauders. And then also like kind of some of the Zoe decks, Zoe Aesol, Ruben Pyle, the Zoe Diana. And so it's not like we put no time into them, but we didn't really like understand them at a deep level. We couldn't pick them up, some of them, and just play them with a few days notice. And also just weren't really sure if they were good or not good. I just didn't have kind of the reps in. And I sort of felt bad about that because I felt like I had dropped the ball and I hadn't like done, the amount of preparation that I should have. Due diligence. Yeah. And so just like we're talking about now, where there's just not enough time to pick up these decks, I want to talk a little bit about that because how long do we have between like the last balance patch and seasonals? Was it 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
It was 2 weeks?
I believe it was 2.
No, I think it was more. I think it was more.
It might have been more. But there was the huge meta shift that happened a couple days right before our tournament, 1 week before.
Yes.
And then there was the meta shift to compensate for that after, which was only a couple of days before seasonals.
That's right.
So tough to you can like harp on yourself for not like doing all the work, but the meta's changing and there's only so much you can do. We played it all. At one point or another, we played it all. And maybe the deck wasn't super good at one point, so we kind of dropped it. And then maybe it was better like the couple days before seasonals and during seasonals. But you can't like expect to just be on it, right? Yeah. Especially because the week leading up to seasonals, you kind of want to already know what you're going to play. That way you can get I think it's better to get very good with the decks you decided to bring than it is to spend the last week playing it all and jumping on a random deck, right? We're always talking about this.
Very true. Very true.
If I super cram to bring Zoe Diana, which I've played, right? I could play Targon decks, but I haven't really played. If I spend the last 2 days super cramming Zoe Diana to fit it in my lineup, then I'm not as good with my other decks. And maybe they're not as tuned as they could have been. Where if I'd have just put in the extra time, I think I would have gotten a lot more out of just like playing and practicing and tweaking the decks I'm already comfortable with.
Yeah, no, very good points. I totally forgot about our own tournament, which was super ironic that I felt like we like kind of semi-shot ourselves in the foot. That we were like, hey, let's run this huge tournament with all the best players.
Okay, now everybody knows Thresh.
And then the metagame is just absolutely, turned like another 90 degrees or something. And I guess we're doing it again. Maybe we'll have it 2 weeks out next time. Who knows? But so I guess so then there was only 1 week left, and it was like, man, there's not a lot of time left there. Though, for our testing team and for anyone out there also that has, a group that they're working with, which most people are trying to work in some sort of group. And if you don't have, come join our Discord. We will work with you. What do you think we could do differently? Because I don't want that to happen again. And I mean, I guess technically Push P was on the deck, actually. Ended up playing it to some success. I don't think he didn't lose a game with it. But what do you think if we if something's fallen through the cracks, we just kind of assign it to someone or something? Like, hey, can someone?
That's exactly what we should do. That's
what we should do, right? And it's there's these whatever decks, boop boop boop. The problem then though is if someone's like, yo, this deck is Scargrounds is busted, we need to get on the Scargrounds train or whatever it is, and everyone has to is there time for everyone to kind of learn the deck? And maybe it's kind of rare that hasn't really happened though yet, has it?
No. I mean, Thresh Nasus, right? But we were all kind of on it before. We were pretty
that was
on the ball
going into
right? As soon as there was a build that didn't wasn't complete cheeks, we were on it. But I mean, what I'm looking for not inspiration, right? But for some guidance, I suppose, is the super teams in Magic.
Yeah.
Granted, the format's different. They only have one deck that they bring. But what happens is a month, 3 weeks out, they start delegating. you guys are going to work on this deck. You guys are going to work on this strategy. You guys are going to try to brew something crazy over here. And you guys are going to work on the tried and true stuff and tune it. And then they go, okay. And then they meet every day or whatever, and they talk about it. And they go, okay, this is what we learned. This matchup's good against this. We don't think this card's as good as we thought, but this deck's kind of coming out of nowhere and kind of crushing it. And then this other guy goes, oh, this brew I have is really good. And they go, okay, well, this deck didn't work out, so you guys are now off that. You're on these. And right, and then they come together. And normally, I don't know if this is still the case, but normally, like Channel Fireball or whatever, like 75% of them bring the same deck because they as a team decided this was the best choice.
There's also a lot of stragglers that are just like, I don't know what to pick, so LSV's playing this one, so I'm playing this one.
Gonna pick,
so and so is playing this deck, so that's good enough for me.
If it's good enough for Owen Turtenwald or whatever, it's good enough for me. So I think delegation is going to be important. Like you mentioned, having a team is important, and I really think it could be detrimental to just like jump in a random pool of people you don't really know. It's very important to me that like with our smaller testing group, it's not really a team, right? It's just some people that we talk to and go on the Runeterra show with us. But if any one of those people tells me, yo, Bay, this is the nuts, you got to be on this for seasonals,
you have to check it out. Them. Yeah, you got to go check it out.
Like, I know that these people, I mean, maybe not if you say it,
I was waiting for that.
But if anyone in the
Easy Draven was great. Hey, I got everyone off of aggro, didn't I? Everyone was like, oh, you know what? I think I'm gonna play Discord aggro as my third deck. And I was like, fight me. Actual fight me. All of you.
Get off this crap. Yeah,
get off this trap.
So yeah, it's important that like if your plan is to delegate, it's important that you can trust the people you're delegating to. Because if you have your homeboy run Ash Noxus and he's like, dude, this deck's pretty good in gold 3, right? Then you can't take that advice like to heart. You know, maybe you can like try to work in some games with it and see how it feels, but without like that trust in like your testing team, you can't like fully dive in, which you would need, because the metagame tends to the Fizz Aphelios meta is like a bit of an outlier, right? But the metagame tends to shift a lot like 2 weeks before seasonals. Everyone starts getting really competitive. Like there's usually a patch change, whether a new like expansion's dropped, a new champion, or there's some balance patch or something, but the metagame changes a lot. And if you can't take, there's a lot of decks, and if you can't narrow it down,
so many decks,
you're gonna feel lost.
Yes.
And you're just gonna be jumping around every single day. We've all been there, and it sucks. So yeah, you know, I think it's important to surround yourself with people that if they say this is it, you got to be on this, then you can go okay, and you do it. You jump in like both feet first, because your time is limited and you need to make the best of it.
Yeah, that's really the crux of it, hey? That like it just comes down to like kind of time management, and that's like a big thing this season. In the past, I tried to be like pro player, quote unquote, and also content creator professional, and kind of it's really hard to have time to do both. You really don't, frankly. You have to be like a superhuman at one of those things just like flawlessly, and so yeah, like YouTube and stuff took up a lot of my time, and so now I think I'm just going to be dedicating a lot of time to playing, and then also like just kind of taking what I'm playing offline and throwing it at YouTube a little bit. But yeah. You know what pumps up your YouTube? Winning seasonals and worlds and stuff. That's being number one on the ladder all constantly. Those things tend to translate over to people wanting to know what the heck you're doing pretty well. So I think that's the route that I'm gonna go.
I agree. Someone else, I believe it was Liberty, he does like the Fervor Face, the Fervor Face videos and stuff. He was like, yeah, you know, I might take some time and just not even play in seasonals, even though I'm qualified, to just work on like Fervor Face stuff. You know, really want to bring more people onto that content. And I was like, you know what really pumps up your content? Winning seasonals. I was like, you should probably play. Like even like top 32ing, right? People recognize your name now.
Yeah.
And so when they see you on Twitch or something, they click on you. Because if you have 10 viewers, like why would they click on you as opposed to other people? You know, like if they're scrolling down, like you're just another face in the crowd. But if someone sees your name and they recognize you, then they'll click. Like that's what I do. Totally. I'm scrolling down Twitch or whatever, and I'm scrolling the Runeterra page, and I see this name, and I saw this guy top 32 at the last tournament. Maybe I'll check him out. Right? Yep. Like Game Boy Rob.
Gamer up.
TikTok Game Boy Rob stream. Loved it. Very nice stream. Check it
Shout
out.
out, shout out Gamer up.
Shout out Game Boy Rob. And I never would have done that had I not seen his name pop up on tournaments. So yeah, you know, not that this is applicable to like the majority of people listening to this, but if you're trying to grow your name or be any kind of content creator in this space, some tournament
Success.
like placements and stuff success could like or ladder success, right, could definitely help you, because I know the people in the top 8 of ladder. I may not have ever seen or talked to these people, but if that person jumps on Twitch, I'll probably check them out.
Interested. Yeah. 100%. Okay, well, we should probably start wrapping things up. I want to say, you know, a really big good luck to our testing teammates, Jay Sensational and one of my. Bring it home, boys. Bring it home.
Let's bring it home.
We're 2 for 2.
Let's get 3 out of 3. Come on.
There's 6 of us, and we won literally 2 NA seasonals.
Both.
Turtle's got to go win the EU seasonals. If he could just wake up and play good decks, he'd be crushing.
Yes, wake up on time and play good decks. He's so good.
He'd be unbeatable. He'd be unstoppable.
Yeah. Could you imagine though if the 6 of us won all 3 seasonals? That'd be insane.
Oh, that'd be insane. What if we just and then if we win the 3rd one, we have to win them all going into Worlds. There's no stopping.
Yeah. Okay. If we win the 3rd one, we have to make a name for our group.
We're making a name anyway. We need the goddamn name. Okay. But yeah, I really hope they win.
Our Discord server, by the way, guys, is still team name TBD.
Should our team name just be TBD?
It's just TBD. That'd be kind of confusing.
We got named the Null Stars, the NA All Stars.
The NA All Stars. Yeah, I saw that.
I don't hate it. I don't love it though.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I was gonna say, I was like, I don't know, because this was like before last season was, right? So I was like, I don't know. We only have 1 seasonal winner. There's only been 1 seasonal. It's like, maybe we should calm down. NA All Star seems a little ridiculous. And then I won the next seasonal, and I was like, okay. Maybe it's a good idea.
I accept. It's also kind of cool because someone picked it for us, which is kind of nice.
Yeah. It's cool to have someone else tell you you're the All Stars, right? You can't pick that name by yourself.
No.
It's like a nickname. That's like really cool. Like no one's gonna call you
it's like a call sign, right? Like in the Navy, like fighter pilots. Like you don't get to, you're like, oh, Maverick. They're like, no, you're like poop shoes.
Yeah, no.
You're like whatever. You're like silly streamer.
Yeah, exactly. So we didn't go over any of the new cards. That's because like at the time of recording, the set's not out yet. Like the full spoilers are not out yet. So on the next episode, we will be going over them in depth, most likely. We'll be going over the new cards, what we expect to do well, and everything. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, should we do a special spoiler breakdown?
We could do a special on like Tuesday or something.
Yeah,
with all the new cards.
Could do.
Just a quick one. Could do it, or we could do it Friday when we have more information.
we will keep.
Yeah, we will decide later.
Element of surprise shall be kept by us. Guys. All right. Goodbye, everyone. Thanks for listening. See you guys next week.
Yep.
Peace.
Thank you so much for listening to the Mastering Runeterra podcast with Jay and Bay. New episodes come out every Friday. If you haven't done so already, be sure to join us on Discord, check out the Patreon team, and have a look at our deck database on Twitter at Master Runeterra. Links to all of these can be found in the show notes and description.